It's a push for the playoffs in the Peach State. Match week 24 concludes with a midweek matinee. Atlanta United 2 straddles the line, but are on the outs for now. The Fire Stripes can potentially surpass the incoming Chicago Fire, who enter with no room for error. MLS Next Pro is at the Atlanta United training grounds. Hello and welcome, I'm Ryan Lee. Thank you for joining us. Two teams that are on two opposite sides of the playoff line. Chicago come in as the 7, but Atlanta come in as the number 9 seed. And they made 3 changes since their 2-1 loss against Red Bull New York. Jonathan Ransom is back in goal, but he comes off of 2 straight losses, while another change gets made on the defense with Chica being added into the back 4. This is his 9th start of 21 appearances. Pita is the lone change in the midfield, and the attack is spearheaded by the league-leading goal scorer in Arif Kovac and the assist leader in the league with Cameron Dunbar in the midfield. Shift things over to Chicago Fire, currently in the 7th seed, just barely above the playoff line, keeping Jason Nemo in goal for his 15th start, especially because of his shutout last time out against Orlando. Cups is back in the back 4. He's had 15 matches, all which were starts. Diawara is the lone change in the front 6. He, Turdine, and Villanueva are all on heaters. Let's see if the offense can spark once again for the Fire. We make our way to the Atlanta United training ground, where it is not only hot literally, it is figuratively as well. But you have two teams who are on slightly different rounds of form. For Atlanta United, 3 consecutive losses, 2 in regulation in the last 2 matches, and the third of that stretch came in a shootout loss against Carolina Core. For Chicago Fire, they are on an absolute heater right now. They have won 5 of their last 6 matches, including a clean sheet last time out against Atlanta United 2. But between these two teams, not only are Chicago coming off of their clean sheet win against Orlando CDB, but these two have played twice already this year, 3 times between Atlanta and Chicago. However, both of which went Atlanta's way, and it will have to be exactly that if they want to stay above the playoff line. Atlanta in the 9 slot, 34 points in the standings. Chicago in the 7 seed, 36 points in the standings. And if history can repeat itself for a 3rd consecutive time, Atlanta could potentially surpass Chicago Fire with a 2-point gap between them. Atlanta United 2 will start the first half going left to right in the all-black, right to left in the all-white. Will be Chicago Fire. 2 points separated, 1 above the line, 1 just beneath it. As we begin here at the Atlanta United training ground here in Marietta. 80 degrees here in Georgia, about as typical as you can get midway through August. 3 consecutive losses for Atlanta United, 1 in PKs, 2 in regulation. For Chicago Fire, 2 wins in 5 of their last 6, including a clean sheet last time out against Orlando City B. As Ryan Lee and the rest of our MLS Next Pro crew, we thank you so much for joining us this morning. An 11 a.m. local kickoff here in Georgia. Ransom way outside of his box to clear it to center. Chicago looked to push it up. These are two teams who had slightly different trajectories getting to this point of the season. For Chicago, they were a team who were just on the cusp of the playoff line. They were really hovering right around that 8 to right around 11 spot pretty much all year long. They were just barely on the outside looking in all season long until they've made this recent surge. And if you include some of their other matches in this current stretch as well, you're looking at 1 regulation loss in the last 10 matches. When it comes to Chicago, 7 wins, 1 regulation loss, but they do have 2 losses in PKs as well. So especially since their 3-1 win against Inter Miami back on June 14th, the Fire have been exactly as their namesake. And in doing so, find themselves in a nice position, more or less in control of their own fate, 1 point above the number 8 seeded Orlando City B. And Chicago have been a team that have been perennially in the playoff picture. Back-to-back eliminations in the second round of the next pro playoffs. A place where Atlanta United hope to get to, even since their start in the USL Championship. The team from the ATL still waiting for that first opportunity to prove themselves in the postseason. Enzo Dovolo scored the lone goal in the 2-1 loss to Red Bull New York last time out. Outside it goes, but it couldn't be held in play. This will be a goal kick towards Jason Nemo, the primary number 1 keeper for Chicago Fire 2. Has started in 15 of the 23 matches that Chicago have played. Leading the way, Kovac was pressuring on Cups, but Nemo does get there in time. Jason Nemo coming off of a shutout against Orlando. Even though Chicago are not necessarily the most defensively dominant team, same goes for Atlanta. These are 2 teams where defense is not necessarily their strong suit. These are 2 teams that can just hammer opponents, outscore you at times. And I'm sure that also helps with the recent performance that Chicago had in their 7-2 win against Cincinnati at the beginning of the month. And even for Atlanta, they concluded July with back-to-back matches, scoring 3. It was a 3-3 draw versus Carolina and a 3-2 win against New York City before promptly scoring 3 combined in their last 2 matches against Chattanooga and Red Bulls. Nig cycles around, Fleming retreats back to Cups, who's had a small handful of first-team matches this year. Pressure from Villanueva forces things back to Atlanta. Dunbar, deep ball, Dovolo gets away from pressure. Kovac, the Golden Boot leader, tried to center for Pita, but it will come back towards Nemo. Robert Turdine, what a run he's been on. 4 contributions across the last 4 consecutive matches. He, Villanueva, and Diawara, 3 of the hottest attackers on the Chicago Fire team. Hull Ute prominent in that as well. Turdine shifts it outside. Chicago still in. Fleming couldn't settle it. Comes back the other end for Dovolo. Opening half a dozen minutes. Still no shots officially logged. But I'm sure with the history that these two teams have had, especially the recent history, Chicago perhaps trying to look out a little more, considering Atlanta have won the last 3 against the Fire. Served in, Pita, one-timer, goes over. First shot of the match goes to Santiago Pita. He's got 1 goal on the year, aiming for the second, but couldn't quite get it within frame. And that's something you can expect a lot of from Jose Silva's group. That was something he mentioned to us when we spoke to him in the midweek, how it's a lot about the willingness and how maybe it wasn't necessarily there in the same respect against Red Bull New York. The willingness to get into battles and try to come out the other end, especially in things like duels and making those runs. If you're willing to make them and willing to commit to the end result of the play, that's where the results have been at their best. He just put it very bluntly, winning those battles and committing to those runs are what's going to win you games as time goes on. It's worked to them so far at this point, a 10-8-4 mark after going sub 500 last year and missing the playoffs by a single point. Center circle for Chicago, Turdine swarmed and dislodged. Andrew Jardines was in the mix with Didi Cibrian, the two defensive midfielders in the 4-2-3-1 formation for Jose Silva. Chongqui grappled and dropped. Start number 50 in MLS Next Pro for Dominic Chongqui off of 56 appearances. 3 years for the Youth International of Team USA. As you can see, all sorts of wrapping and grappling for Damian Villanueva. A little bit of traffic management from our crew today. They're in yellow. Dorian Del Toro is our center official, Laura Chambers, and Tyler Boast, the assistant referees, with Denny Kolasenak, our 4th official. Short of Hull Ute, taken back for Dovolo. Enzo Dovolo, the number 12 overall draft pick in this last year's Super Draft from UNC Greensboro. And somehow, Cisse kept that in play. Kovac pressuring Sandmeyer. And Cups, the center back tandem for Chicago. Deflected, and Fleming keeps it for the Fire. Approaching a dozen minutes, still only the lone shot attempt from Santiago Pita. But maybe a chance as it's Diawara on the outside. Hits the brakes, centering feed, Turdine drops it, try from deep is just missed. A nice crack there for Oscar Pineda, looking for that second goal of the season, but just too wide to the right side of Jonathan Ransom. Turdine was a little bit stuck there with the pressure from Cibrian, just drops it back. It's a nice try by Oscar Pineda, the 18-year-old. But just slightly clips it too far, and It took about a dozen minutes, but Chicago will finally have that first shot of the match. Dovolo, double teamed. Tardine tripped on the ball, but that was whistled. Kovac shakes off his man. It's a real unique attack for the Five Stripes. It's not too often that you have a team with not only the league's leading goal scorer, but the league's leading assist creator between Arif Kovac and Cameron Dunbar, but that is the case for Atlanta. And they might have to somewhat rely on the very strong individual attackers that they possess to not only move forward in this match, but in their season. Only 6 games left, including today. Kovac dislodged, back for Dovolo. Pita. Fans it outside. Chongqui cuts back. He's got Jardines. Dunbar. 3 men on, aiming for Dovolo. But the intervention came from Damian Nig, and this will flip possession to Chicago. Dovolo near side, centering feed. That got blocked off by the Fire, and Tardine couldn't keep it in play. This should remain with Atlanta United. This portion of the broadcast is sponsored by Emory Healthcare. Chica tosses in, Dovolo couldn't get the return. Sonanu gets it back. Bit of a scrap for Cyprian before it comes back for Nig. Fleming. Nice block off by Diawara to loosen up Fleming. He's got a man on the outside. Here come the Fire. Cross top of the 18. Fleming couldn't get the shot. Dunbar gets out of the mix. Before it settled down, you have Dylan Borso getting in there as well. Very interesting use of Dylan Borso from Mike Makovich. A little more of that attacking wing midfielder for the 4-year man from Wake Forest. But you will most certainly see him step up at times in this match and join the attack. However, the attack will go to Atlanta. It's been a pretty steady first quarter hour for both Ransom and Nemo. That's a free kick given up by Sandmeyer. Dunbar gets out of a jumble. Well done by Chicago to avoid the whistle. lone match of the day to wrap up match week 24 in MLS Next Pro. There will be a healthy slate of games on Wednesday to begin match week 25. 5 p.m. start time for NYCFC to host Cincinnati to keep their playoff hopes alive in the number 10 spot, only 2 points back of 8th Orlando. Cincinnati, one of the 2 teams in the East already eliminated. And you know we're getting to that point of the season when they start to publish the clinching and elimination scenarios. Pita, edge of the box. Dovolo gets it back. Jardine stays outside. Chong Kui fed in, just high of Kovac. Kovac didn't score in the last match against Red Bull. You also have so many teams that are just straddling that playoff line with big things to play for. If you want to go back to that slate for Wednesday, you have teams like Crown Legacy hosting against CT United, who are 2 points above the line. Crown Legacy trying to hold off Chattanooga for that number 1 overall seed, at least in the Eastern Conference. And then New England Revolution, they and Columbus Crew 2 tied in the 3-4. New England in the 3, Crew in 4th. And that could at least give New England the option to choose their opponent. At least of whoever's left after the 1 and 2 respectively make their decisions. Oh, what a ball for Enzo Dovolo. Might be free. Waits for help. Crisscrosses. Back in the middle. Dunbar blocked. Rebound in front. Blocked again. Jardines recovers for Atlanta after 2 exceptional blocks from the Fire to snuff out Cameron Dunbar. That's a couple more shots for Atlanta. Still, none of them have forced a save from Nemo. Chicago yet to put any of that big-time pressure on Jonathan Ransom either. Chicago in the 7, 1 point above the playoff line. Atlanta in the 9, 1 point beneath it. A huge potential 6-point swing in Atlanta on a Tuesday morning. Orlando City smack dab in the middle in 8th at 35 points. Hasn't necessarily been the best run of form for Atlanta United 2, looking to escape from it. And because of Atlanta's hot form at the beginning of the year, for a little bit, Atlanta were a top 4, top 5 team in the Eastern Conference. And Jose Silva did acknowledge to us that that provided some wiggle room, but also he understands at the same vein that that wiggle room, if they don't correct things soon, that it could very much run out. Every game is a final going forward, especially with them being in the 9th seed right now. Also a very different spot since last year, where Coach Silva was the interim after taking over for Steve Cook. versus this year where he's been the head man the whole way through. Vitali Holyu aiming for Diawara, blocked out. Sinanu, fire for the throw. This portion of the match is brought to you by Gallagher. Pineda centers for Fleming. He wears the captain's armband today. Chip shot. Borso chases it. Borso crossed. Headed out by Atlanta. Kovac pretzeled up. Advantage play to Chicago as they regain possession. Borso lifts it. Out of frame. We are just past the halfway mark of this match. 80 degrees Fahrenheit at the time of kickoff. The high is expected to be 93 today, so this is where our hydration break will lie. It's only going to rise from here, the temps. One of the minor intricacies of this match today. But we do conclude match week 24. We take a look ahead going into match week 25. As we mentioned earlier, 5-game slate in Wednesday, starting at 5 p.m. with NYCFC, who are just also on the outside looking in a similar position as Atlanta. However, New York City, they are 2 points back of the 8th place Orlando. So if you're OCB, there's a lot of teams coming and trying to chase after you. Atlanta have that one game in hand. That'd be today's game, actually. And NYC actually have 2 games in hand on OCB with 2 points back. So there's a big-time opportunity here for New York City to maybe catapult themselves into the top 8. For Cincinnati, too, they're one of the only 2 teams in the Eastern Conference who are officially eliminated. The other one being Inter Miami, who also play tomorrow. They'll go to Fort Lauderdale against the Revolution, where the Revs and the Crew are tied in the 3-4. An even number of matches played, an even number of wins, and a darn near exact record. But New England would be in that 3rd seed as of now, and in terms of playoff positioning and the opportunity, the top 4 seed and the concept of that is so huge because of not just the opportunity to host matches and not having to go to the road, but on top of that, each of the last several seasons in MLS Next Pro, there's been the option to pick your opponent. If you're the number 1 seed, you get the pick of any of the 4 bottom seeds to be your opponent, and then so on and so forth with the remaining teams. And at least for the intents and purposes of, let's say, New England by tomorrow night against Miami, you want to be in that 3rd seed or maybe try to catch up under 2 points against CFC. Only 6 points back of Crown Legacy. So there's still maybe the opportunity if Crown Legacy drop a match here or there, same goes for CFC, to have that opportunity, host down the line, and then pick your opponent. Could Chicago or Atlanta be a part of that selection pool? Right now, the final 4 seats in the playoffs are occupied by Red Bull New York, Connecticut, the expansion side from this year, Chicago in the 7, Orlando in the 8. Atlanta 1 point under the playoff line. Chicago 1 point above it. As we're back after the hydro break, Riley and the rest of our crew from Atlanta United training ground as that one is sent in from deep. And that's going to force the first save from Jonathan Ransom. It only took 26 minutes. 27 now. Atlanta United play their last handful of home matches at this pitch, their practice field. And aside from their match against Red Bull New York, which was their last appearance, they've done relatively well here. Had that barn burner back and forth match with Carolina Core where things got tied up at 3 and then beat NYC 3-2. These are two teams entering today who are one of the more explosive offenses in the league for both Chicago and Atlanta. They're actually tied with each other in terms of a top 3 slots in terms of most goals scored, each with 45 and 22 matches. Maybe one here for Chicago. This try from distance, saved by Ransom. Someone's going to have to break, especially in such a heavily congested Eastern Conference. If you just go from 5th to 12th, you have 6 points of separation between Red Bull New York in the 5 and Huntsville in the 12, especially after the rough start of the season they had. And also keep in mind, those two teams in that bottom section, 11 Philly and 12 Huntsville, they're both sub 500 and still alive. Pita, try from distance, and someone's going to have to get that. This was this last opportunity. You had the reach in there before that left-footed strike from outside the box came from Damian Villanueva. Villanueva's been exceptional in this season. He's got goals in back-to-back. Dunbar picks it off, drop back, in the middle, Kovac holds, lets it go, off the bar, off the line, the rebound, saved by Nemo. Couple of crazy bounces for Kovac, but Atlanta are back on. Pita chips it, Dunbar sliding, Kovac tangled. Chicago still can't escape before they eventually get it to Diawara. This is a large part of why Atlanta have been so offensively threatening. The back heel and the quick poke up. Kovac at the top of the area, got it off the bar, down, not across the line. Pita had the rebound right on the doorstep, but couldn't bang it in either as Nemo got there in time. And maybe a reversal here for Atlanta. They dislodge it by center. Dovolo on the near end. Dominic Chonghui gets around one, keeps it in play. No one in black in the penalty area. It goes for an Atlanta throw. This portion of the broadcast is sponsored by Renegade Lemonade. Half an hour in. Still no goals to speak of. Dunbar towards the boundary as Chonghui gets it back inside. Got Cyprian and Cisse there, and they'll retreat for ransom. Boots it for Chonghui. Gravitates right back to him. Chonghui for Pita, one touch. Kovac has Dunbar free. Dunbar, Kovac scores! The boots are still golden for Arif Kovac. 16 this season. 1-0 Atlanta. This is just beautiful passing work from Atlanta. The one-touch back heel scorpion kick to Dunbar gets dropped back for Kovac. Slides it low on Nemo. And this is part of what Atlanta do so well, the offensive creativity. They can pepper you with opportunities because they just get defenses moving. They don't really overcomplicate things. It can just be a pass via deflection, just a quick one-touch up. You had Pita, the little scorpion back heel for Kovac to find Dunbar, which allows him to get back to Kovac. And you get the defenses shifting all around, having to adjust on the fly. That allows Atlanta to strike at their hottest. Arif Kovac. He's been exceptional, to say the least. Increasing his Golden Boot league on the second place man from Chattanooga, Alex Krell. Just past the half an hour, 33rd minute officially. Even though Atlanta had a lot of their opportunities in the early portion of the match, their attack a touch stale since the hydro break. Maybe a chance for the Fire. Rolled out, Hulyut. Can't beat out Chica. Hulyut reaches in, but it's a foul against the Fire. Well, one thing's for sure about Atlanta, they most certainly are playing like a team desperate to make it back in the playoffs. If result holds, Atlanta would surpass. Chonghui from deep, blocked on the way. First corner of the match for either side. And these are two teams in the top quarter of the league in terms of getting to the corner flag. It took us inside of the last 10 minutes of the first half to get to that point here in Georgia. In swings, deflected, back post. Still loose. Kovac settles it. Second try. Bouncing around. No one can get it. Hulyut stamps it down before he outlets for Diawara. Now it's a rush for Chicago. 3-on-2. Diawara cuts to his right. Diawara from deep, but too high. This is just calamity inside of the Chicago box. Kovac got a piece, as did Chongqui. Had the defender down, and Nig, who actually got the block on the Chongqui volley with the way that bounced. And even the try on the other side, you had a 3-on-2 for Chicago. Diawara had eyes for a goal. He's been on a good run. 2 goals in the last 3 matches, but he also had 2 other great options within that space. Also, one thing that probably got lost in the mix with all the craziness that's happened offensively in the last handful of minutes, Cameron Dunbar also increases his lead league in the Golden Playmaker race. Now 9 assists on the season, the only player next pro to do that. Dovolo. Across the top, that one is sent and scored! Enzo Dovolo, 3 goals in 4 games. He's red hot, and Chicago are up 2-0. It's the recovery from Atlanta. They are getting those second balls, third balls, almost every possession. Dovolo starts the possession. He starts just shifting over to his left. All that momentum going that way. Picks out just inside of the post. And what a strike from Enzo Dovolo. 3 of his last 5 goals have come in the last 4 matches. The rookie from UNC Greensboro, 3 times All-SoCon. What a rookie year he's had so far in 2026. This is an Atlanta United team that can hammer opponents at will. Already 11 credited shot attempts. They already had the most in the league entering the night, or the morning rather. Pita got barreled by Borso, but that one's fair play. Worked outside. Diawara did not keep it in play. So officially on the first goal, 33rd minute, it's Arif Kovac from Cameron Dunbar. That not only increases Kovac's lead in the Golden Boot race to 16 goals, but that also allowed Dunbar to stand alone at 9 assists. And then on the goal that just happened, the way it's being scored right now, Enzo Dovolo in the 39th. Helpers from Andrew Jardines for his 3rd assist in the season. And they've given Dunbar the secondary assist. So if all holds, this puts Dunbar alone at double digits. And for Dunbar, that's 6 goal contributions in 5 matches, which is an unreal heater to say the least. Coach Silva talked about Dunbar's previous experience in the LA Galaxy organization, and taking a hiatus from Next Pro and returning has really helped him get to a new level in his return to this league this season after spending the last 3 with Orange County of the USL Championship, and how that was a really big indicator of his development as well. The creativity on the attacking half is what really sparked in his tenure with Atlanta for Dunbar. But is there at least one counterpunch here for Chicago before halftime? Dunbar back defensively, only as far as Sandmeyer. Sandmeyer wide to Diawara. Chongqui will leave it off for Ransom. So as it stands, if you go in the exact moment of now, Atlanta would surpass Chicago and tie CTU in the 6-7 slot. Final 100 seconds plus stoppage. Pita hits the brakes, aiming for Kovac, just wide of him. Nig. Villanueva couldn't control. And Atlanta, question for them is, do they pack on one more, or are they content going to halftime 2-0 up? Dunbar, 2 assists in this match already, wins a free kick. It's still a Chicago Fire group that are taking everything in. A very young group, still very much in their development. That is most certainly going to be a learning moment when you are about 23 yards away. Santiago Pita stands over it. He's created some set-piece magic in his 2 seasons with Atlanta. Pita stands alone, sent to goal, punched out by Nemo, still loose, great save by Nemo again. Dunbar was on the doorstep, couldn't get it through, as 4 extra minutes are on the board, and what a shot this is by Pita, just barely finding the gap, and a great move by Dunbar to escape Dylan Borso to not only get space, but get positioning to get the shot off on goal. But the foul against Atlanta will give things back to Chicago if they have something left in the tank. Fleming circles back. Borso back in the middle. Cisse was first. That went out of play off of Fleming. This Atlanta team, they have been one that have not only been exceptional at home, but they have been darn near unbeatable with a lead. 8 wins, 1 loss, 2 draws when opening the scoring. They opened the scoring 2 times in this match. Kovac in the 33rd, Dovolo in the 39th. Kovac keeps it in play. Stares down Borso and wins a corner in the process. That was cheeky by Kovac. But with 2.5 minutes, there's no better time to take the opportunity to strike while the iron's hot. It's Jardines on the corner. Swung in, headers up and out. We mentioned it earlier, but we are going to mention it again. The last 2 times these teams met this season alone, both of which were 3-0 decisions favoring Atlanta. Maybe a counter punch here as Nig in a barrage of black jerseys. Jardines gets out. They played here on June 6th, and they were in Chicago in mid-April. Weirdly enough, Atlanta might be on pace to do it again as they're up 2-0, less than 30 seconds from halftime. Fleming. Villanueva centers, gets it back. Villanueva works on Chongqui, flips it. Pineda chops it down, couldn't escape. That's sent down the length, and that is it for halftime. 2 goals, 6 minutes apart, and the stars of the ATL are doing their thing. Arif Kovac with the opener. Cameron Dunbar, a pair of assists to lead the league in goals and assists. Coming up at halftime, we take a look back at the All-Star game, plus the remainder of the August schedule, highlights, and more when we return. Atlanta lead 2-0. back in Atlanta, where the Five Stripes lead the Fire 2-0. We make our way to Charlotte to look at the MLS Next All-Star Game and Skills Challenge, and we also go to Chattanooga, where they took the interim tag off their coach, Richard Dixon.
What's going on, guys? Moises Linares here in Charlotte, North Carolina for the big MLS All-Star Game. And as you can see behind me, anticipation's already building. But before we can even talk about the big game, how about we take a look at some of the best moments during MLS All-Star Week, including the MLS Next All-Star Game, which features some of MLS Next Pro's brightest stars.
Charlotte kicked off with the MLS Next All-Star Game, where we got a glimpse of the game's future stars who faced off at Mecklenburg County Sportsplex. A 7-goal thriller that saw Team East take care of business versus Team West with a 6-1 victory. Less than 20 hours after scoring for Crew 2, Columbus Crew's Jamil Danjaji hopped on a flight to Charlotte and found the back of the net again.
Towards goal and through! Jamil Danjaji makes it 2-0 in the blink of an eye.
Nashville SC and Huntsville City forward Liam Stribling also found the back of the net for the East.
Nashville, man, Stribling's got some space here. Stribling puts it through! How good is that?
And Crown Legacy's Daniel Brown would complete the scoring for Team East.
A good punch out. Philo. Oh, distance! Fizzer is through! Brown, the hometown product.
The West would pull one back, but ultimately it wasn't enough to overcome the East.
This is a celebration of all their hard work. So many of these guys not only had great individual seasons, they performed well for their team, but what we're starting to see, which is also so cool, is when we talk about pathway, is these players not only do well for their academy team, but most of them have already started to feature for Next Pro, which is that not only the next step for them in their own development, but it continues that aspiration to get to the highest level.
Obviously, it's a wonderful event. It's such a privilege to be chosen for this. It takes years and years of training and experience for any player to get caught up into this. So congratulations to everybody that's got caught into this and everybody's family to experience the welcome of being able to participate in this event.
I mean, it's a learning experience. I'm just happy to be here. I'm gonna keep going, keep training, and keep my head down and be grounded.
Before the game, we also caught up with president of MLS Next Pro, Ali Curtis, who talked about the evolution of the pathway MLS has created.
We've got a great collection of players here today. It's a great evening. It's a great event that we're fortunately able to be supported by our partner in Allstate, and we've got a great number of talented players here. So it's a great addition and a great player development moment.
Just crazy to see how far the league has come. And it's just a beautiful thing, right? Now we have 30 teams, so many more stadiums, new stadiums being built. The academy wasn't around in 2009. Now we have a full-blown academy, and to see the talent that we have here tonight is just spectacular. And so it just tells me that we're all moving in the right direction. We're continuing to move this game forward in this country with the World Cup. Everyone's excited. And now we just have to continue to help encourage and support these kids.
Here at Bank of America Stadium, MLS All-Stars lead Liga MX 3-1 after 45 minutes. A great performance in the first half. And speaking of great performances, some of MLS Next Pro's very best goalkeepers and field players took part in the skills challenge. That includes goalie wars and also the crossbar challenge.
I'm trying to get that assist in. Oh, he's cooking me alive. Those low ones killed me. Hey, we got the... Woo!
Tuesday morning saw the MLS Next Pro players take on actor Danny Ramirez in goalie wars. The Hollywood star even banged this golazo.
Bonus ball! You got the ball!
Later, MLS Next Pro goalkeeper Will Mackey and defending champion Pedro Cruz kicked things off, going head-to-head.
Okay, here we go for two. Can he score? Oh, he does! Pedro Cruz with a clutch effort.
Houston Dynamo's Pedro Cruz would emerge victorious, moving on to the semifinals, where he faced Mexican national team in Pachuca's goalie Carlos Moreno.
Carlos Moreno to win it. Can he do it? Moreno! Get up! Get up! Get up! Take it! Take it! Take it! Oh! Pedro Cruz!
Scores, he wins.
Oh, that's it. That's it. He's done it. Pedro Cruz advances.
Cruz took care of business against Moreno, advancing to the final where he squared off versus World Cup goalkeeper Maxime Crepeau.
Let's go! Come on, Pedro! Let's
Big
go!
save!
Come on! Game on! Gotta stop him! And Maxime Crepeau is the winner of the All-Star Goalie Wars!
Cruz would come up just short of defending his crown, but would win the admiration of Orlando's Crepeau, who was impressed with what he saw.
It's fun. I talked to him right away. I was like, honestly, if you kept the balls a little bit lower and on the surface, you had me, because he was so powerful that you don't have the chance to get there almost at this distance.
Estoy muy contento. El otro arquero es muy bueno, una persona muy buena. Pude conocer él poquito. Él habló que hoy está yendo bien. Una persona buena y muy bueno. Dividir la cancha con él.
Goalkeepers weren't the only ones in action. The crossbar challenge saw North Texas SC Erunis face off against former MLS Next Pro star Xavier Gozo, taking on some big names like Evander and Javier Ruiz from Club Necaxa.
Representing MLS Next Pro. When you see the young superstars emerge in Major League Soccer, North Texas is a great pipeline for FC Dallas.
Let's go, Nice. You're almost there.
There it is. Oh, there it is! For MLS Next Pro, what a story this could be.
Gozo would also make it to the final, but would come up just short versus Ruiz, who would go on to win the competition. An experience that has left a positive mark on both players.
So this would be fun to have in your backyard, you know. So I think it was just fun kick around and really enjoyed it.
3 days of MLS All-Star action culminated here at Bank of America Stadium with MLS All-Stars pulling a 4-3 win against Liga MX, a game that saw a handful of MLS Next Pro alumni make their All-Star debut, a major milestone for the league. Signing off from the Queen City, Moises Linares.
Had a meeting with Rich, and I let him know that he was going to be our choice moving forward. So
thank you guys. First of all, thank you for your commitment to the club, your commitment to each other, and your commitment to just excellence. Right? Because that's what we're aiming for, is excellence.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
It's something that I've been looking forward to ever since I retired, always.
Conversation on him becoming the interim.
Good session. Look after yourselves. Better together.
Halftime in Atlanta. United are up 2-0 on the Fire through the first 45 minutes of play as we get ready to wrap up match week 24 in this matinee in Marietta. And it was quite a half, especially for the home side. It's been a whole lot of back and forth between these two early on, but after the hydro break, everything really sparked. Arif Kovac gives this one a try off of the bar. Pita on the doorstep for the rebound, but Nemo with an exceptional save on that left side. But this is the offensive creativity that Atlanta possess that make them so threatening. One touch from Pita loosens up Dunbar and gets it right in for the Golden Boot leader, Arif Kovac. Enzo Dovolo, only about 6 minutes later, shifting right to left, right at the top of the box, gets that one in for the second goal before a free kick try for Santiago Pita would be saved. The rebound by Dunbar, and they couldn't get it through any further after that. It's 2-0 at halftime. Second half between Atlanta and Chicago coming up after this.
Should be a fun season of MLS Next Pro. Oh my! Pedrinho wins it!
Yeah, boys hear sentiment, flow tastes sweet like cinnamon. Open up doors, I'm a gentleman. View top floor, I'm still staying ahead of them. Running on fumes and adrenaline. Do what I do best, can't rush in like a roulette. You can't name a better duet. Don't ask questions, trying to figure out what sound. Don't worry about what next, just wanna know what's next. Man, I say it so loud, don't worry about what next. Just know we got now, oh yes. Man, I say it oh so proud. Don't worry about what next, just know we got now.
The unique energy of a Sunday night. Ideal for calm music, whispers, stargazing, reflection, and a relaxed environment. Sunday nights were made for this.
We return to Atlanta for the second half between Atlanta United 2 and Chicago Fire 2. 45 minutes are down, 45 minutes remain here at the Atlanta United Training Grounds in Marietta. 2 goals towards the end of the half for the Five Stripes. That puts us at the scoreline at the halftime break. The question is, what type of adjustments can be made for Chicago? Especially for how tight the standings are. Not a lot of points separate these two teams. Also, a whole lot of points congestion within that mix as well. Between 5th place Red Bull New York 2 and 12th place Huntsville City, they are all separated by 6 points. So you're talking about 2 games worth of results separating the top 4 teams from the playoff hunt and the first 4 teams out. Chicago trying to get ahead of things by making their change at halftime. Dean Bolts in for Vitaly Halyut. Bolts, the former Wisconsin Badger, spent part of the season last year with forward Madison of USL League One on loan before making his return with the Fire in that little in-between period. Madison was eliminated from the League One playoffs that finished the season for the Mingos, and that allowed Bolts to return to Chicago right before the next pro playoffs took place. Chicago still trying to get over that hump. Back-to-back seasons eliminated in the second round. Atlanta, they're just trying to get in the dance for the first time, even across their time in the USL Championship. Second half, ready to go in Atlanta, in the black, right to left. Left to right in the all white, Chicago Fire 2. As Ryan Lee and the rest of our MLS Next Pro crew, we thank you for joining us here in Marietta. And that whistle got blown right by center. A quick warning from our head official, Dorian Del Toro. Laura Chambers, Tyler Boast, and Denny Kolasinak round out the crew in yellow today. Yet to see a card in this match, but Atlanta absolutely hammering Chicago to the tone of 14 shots attempted and 5 shots on goal compared to Chicago's 4 attempts, 2 on target. That's what happens when you have the offensive powerhouse that is Atlanta, but maybe a chance to get bolts loose, but Ransom dives on it to prevent any further damage. Entering the afternoon, Atlanta had the 3rd most goals in the league and the most shot attempts of any team, and they have really kept up the pace, more or less forcing teams to catch up to them and setting the tempo on the offensive end of the field. Really wearing them down defensively and just keeping at it. Is there a potential counter here for Chicago? Just when it looked like there was that chance for Nig, he gets dislodged by Chica. And the ex-Carolina core defender sends it down the length. Back in the mix, still loose, bobbling around. That gets poked out. Dovolo scored the second goal, has a lane for Pita, right back for Dovolo. Pita got around one man, couldn't get around the double team that followed. Villanueva settles things down. A lot of the work for Fire 2 has been the game management situation. Situational awareness and what you do during specific moments. A large part of the development of these Fire 2 players. Not necessarily one of those situations where first team and second team success necessarily perfectly align each other, but for Atlanta's intents and purposes, or pardon, for Chicago's intents and purposes, there's been a good amount of that. Entering the afternoon, Chicago were a top 6 team in the Eastern Conference. Their MLS side, the A team, if you will. Top 3 in the East. Dovlo was wide open, but Chicago close in. Has 1 goal, looking for 2, but that goes right to Jason Nemo. He just had all sorts of space open for Enzo Dovolo, and that's a similar style that he scored his first goal. Very wide on the right side, just shuffling back into the middle. And then letting it fly from the top of the box, that time to no avail. Pressure on Pineda. Cibrian trying to be careful not to foul him, and that gets scuffed out of play back to Atlanta. And I'm sure there could be more opportunities for these second-team players for Chicago to show out with their top 4 finish in the Leagues Cup, advancing them to the quarterfinals with expanded benches nonetheless, too. Stoppage in play from our lead official. We're back in business. You had Bolt and you had Villanueva there. That splits the difference. Ransom continues the cycle for Daniel Chica. Atlanta entered the morning kickoff match 1 point outside the playoffs, but they're 2 goals up on Chicago, who were 1 point in, all surrounding the number 8 seed in Orlando City B, who have actually been slumping as of late, so maybe a window of opportunity for both of these teams down the line. Kovac chips it up. Dovolo leads the charge. Dovolo sends it across. Kovac can't settle it down before it comes back for Borso. Dunbar supports. Pineda can't win the whistle. Throw in for Atlanta. Pita holds it. Dunbar, 2 assists today. One of them was to Dovolo. They're knotted up. Jardine supports. Foul against Atlanta. Chicago work the outside. They'll get another dead ball spot. As we mentioned before, these 2 teams have played twice this season. Chicago was shut out in both of the previous meetings by 3-0 finals. And since the last meeting back on June the 6th, where Atlanta won that match 3-0 here in Georgia, they've gone 10 straight with multi-goals. That even includes their loss to Toronto that ended 4-2. Their 2 shootout losses against Chattanooga and Huntsville, which were 2-2 draws. And even some electrifying offensive matches in that mix as well, including their final match of July, a 5-1 win against Carolina, and their 7-2 win against Cincy. But Atlanta have stifled them, continue to be their kryptonite, especially with desperate points much needed. Dovolo squirts around the box. Dunbar in the back post, but you had Cups in the way, and that is 3 corners in this match, all Atlanta's. Atlanta already a team that get on the corner quite a bit because of their ability to pressure other teams offensively. Entering today, they had the 5th most corners in the league. Already 3-0 in that advantage today. Jardine swings in, deflected, out of play. Goal kick for Jason Nemo. This Atlanta group is one with full belief in their opportunity going down the line. Today is their one game in hand on the 8th place Orlando, and with only 1 point to make up, they've put themselves in prime position to lift themselves above the line. Fleming outside, Villanueva, he's alone, space closing, Villanueva in front, deflected, out of the box, great recovery by Chica. Now allows Dunbar to help back. Chongqui only as far as cups. Pineda sweeps it across. Nig lost his footing. Sandmeyer harassed by Kovac. Dunbar prevents that pass from being completed. Sinanu, we haven't heard much of him yet today, but it's back for Sandmeyer. Tardine wanted to go inside. Atlanta in the way. Fleming rolls it, has Borso working on Dunbar. Borso across, lets it go! Great save by Ransom. And he'll snuff it out before any recovery can be made by Diawara. This is the first big chance for Chicago in the second half. Borso just skipping across on Dunbar, but the low save could be made by the Canadian keeper Ransom. All over the Canadian youth national team, both at the U17 and now U20 level for Ransom. And that's an exceptional accolade for the 18-year-old. With the multitude of Canadian keeper representation across Major League Soccer, with guys like Dean Sinclair and Maxime Crépeau. Perhaps Ransom, if he continues his development into that top-tier keeper, could be one of the faces between the pipes for Canada down the line. Two subs are right by Denny Kolsenak, the fourth official. But maybe one more attack here for the Fire. Chica draped all over Fleming. Alongside with Turdine. Nig is with them. Back for Fleming, the Chicago captain. Villanueva for Borsal. Gets it right back, in a great recovery by Atlanta United to get it out of play. That was Matt Sinanu who intervened, and this is where Chicago will make a pair of changes. Chase Nagel and Harrison Bernhardt are the ones to come into the match. Christopher Cups and Robert Turdine will make their respective exits. Harrison Bernhardt, 8 matches from the academy, all of which were off the bench. Chase Nagel, 49 appearances in Next Pro today. Both changes made right at the hour. Those are changes number 2 and 3 for Coach Matkovich, as Chicago could not keep that in play. Santiago Pita is out. Ignacio Suarez takes his place. All things considered, despite no goal contributions, it really was a great game by Pita. The way he was generating chances, driving the offense, really putting that pressure on the defense. Having another threat on the attacking end aside from just your usual suspects in Dunbar and Kovac. Chongqui got a little high on Villanueva. Surprisingly, no card for that. But for Ignacio Suarez, he comes in for his 25th appearance in Next Pro. The 17-year-old, 6 years deep now with the academy, but only 2 of those in Next Pro. Just subbed in. Takes the 2-man wall. Villanueva serves it. Too high. So the first break made by Jose Silva about 30 seconds ago. And one of the things he really loved about this unit was Jose Silva seeing how this team kind of progressed at the end of last year. Taking over the interim role from Steve Cook about 13 months ago. He was only an interim for those final 2 months and change. First full year in the head role. And his side will have to look out for another potentially dangerous free kick. The last one got served outside of the frame. Is the redemption for Chicago in the second attempt. Shoveled in, deflected all the way around. And that pinball's out of play. Man down in the box as well. Mo Cisse getting back on his feet, the soon-to-be 22-year-old. The Montreal native turns 22 at the end of the month. But one of the things Jose Silva really liked about his team is that they really fought for it and were in the playoff chase until the very end. They lost the PK shootout to Chattanooga on decision day and got eliminated by a single point. Atlanta back on. Dovolo floats it. Still in play as we are 20 minutes deep of the second half. Borso launched it, but too short as Pita got in the way. Jardines ahead for Suarez. Down to ground, but to no avail. This portion of the broadcast is sponsored by Emory Healthcare. A blazing day here in Georgia, 80 degrees Fahrenheit at the time of kickoff. It has since jumped to 85. The high today is expected to be in the mid-90s. So just like the first half, a hydration break should be occurring in the second half sometime in the next handful of minutes. Unfortunately for Chicago's intents and purposes. That's where Atlanta started to take over. That cross gets blocked by Atlanta. Settled down by Bolts, didn't get enough on it. That's an easy one for Ransom. Chica. Deep ball. Outside of Dovolo. Turned over, Kovac in front, Jardines! Great save by Nemo. There was an opportunity there for Andrew Jardines, but Jason Nemo, even though he's led in two, still sharp, all things considered. Went outside, wide of Villanueva's range, Bolt recovers. That was Borso, pardon. Pineda gliding through, took a reflection, took a deflection, couldn't get out. Jardines, play on, says the official. Pineda outside, back for Pineda, stutter steps, works out, still an Atlanta man down outside the box, chested down, follow through, out of play. And this should be a natural breaking point as you have a man down on the pitch. You're just past the halfway mark. This was a great opportunity for Atlanta. A bit of a heavy touch from Fleming, falls right to Kovac. And the unselfish play to tap it over to a teammate who's wide open. You'd think potentially for a golden boot leader, he'd want to take that himself. But when you have a man wide open at the top of the box, right around 12, 13 yards out, you give him that chance. Just so happened that great striker met great keeper in the 16-year-old Jason Nemo. First year of play for Nemo. As it's been a rough going for the Chicago defense. That's just because of the exceptional offense from Atlanta United. The one-touch passing all the way around. Dunbar back in the middle for Pita. And then it was Jardines from Dunbar as Dovolo is the one with the finish. Dunbar gets 2 assists on the day. Kovac with the game-opening goal. And that's where we sit in the 68th minute in a 2-0 game. 11 a.m. kickoff here in Georgia. Kind of a similar story to last week, actually. We would know. We were there. NYCFC in Randall's Park, hosting Orlando City B. New York got on the front foot. They were desperate for playoff points, and they played like it up against a team who were just above the playoff line in Orlando City B. And surely enough, the home side in that match, NYCFC, would close things out 3-0. And it would put New York one step closer to the playoff line on a team already on the inside, trying to get them out in Orlando. And you could argue, similar script, 11 a.m. game, home side takes an early lead, trying to shut out the visiting side who are inside the playoff line. The host, who is controlling the match, on the outside trying to get in. Whoever wrote the script for last week's 11 a.m. kickoff game between the Pigeons and the Young Lions, they didn't change the script between the Fire and the Five Stripes. That's one thing for sure. A lot of the similar script, similarly dominant in the attacking end. 17 shots attempted for Atlanta. The 7 shots on goal is the same number of shot attempts that Chicago have, 7 each. The only stipulation you could argue is just naturally speaking, they say that when it's hot outside, you should wear white because it cools your body down more. But so far, all advantage has gone Atlanta's way. And good to see.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please. Substitution for Atlanta United 2 in the 71st minute. Entering the match, number 41, Tota Majou. Exiting the match, number 64, Mohamed Cisse.
So good to see Tota Majub get out on the pitch. We saw Mo Cisse getting stretched out right as the hydro break came through. And especially with the conditions of today's match, 85 degrees Fahrenheit. It's been hot all game long, expected to reach a high of 93 by the end of the match. That's a precaution at this point. The 20-year-old Tota Majub started off the season as one of the two starting center backs for Atlanta United 2. However, had his spot kind of taken away from him because he went down with a knee injury that cost him about 3 months of the season. Maybe a chance here as Borso had a chance to cross it, couldn't complete it. Back it comes for Chicago. Bolt in the middle, man taken down. Atlanta escaping. Diawara crisscrosses, lets it fly, and Ransom fumbled it, but controls it at the end of the day. Chicago on the press. Diawara outside. Hits Borso. Dunbar watching closely as they retreat for Nagel. Fleming in space for Bernhardt. Fire still with it. This try from an angle. Try the deflection. And initially ruled a goal kick, but it seems like after conferring with the other referees, it's a corner. First one of the match for Chicago, despite being top 10 in that category all season long. Inward, headed, back post, banged the bar, but didn't go in. You're talking inches away from a 2-1 game. Another try to center. That one's ricocheted. Loose in front, saved by Ransom, still there and cleared. Offside anyways. But great group defense from Atlanta United 2. They survived the barrage from the Fire. That glanced off the bar but bounced out graciously. Chongqui swipes it out. And in the meantime, with about 15 minutes to go in this match, Damian Villanueva, his night is done, or rather his afternoon is done. And that gives an opportunity to Brody Williams, the second-year man. 6 of his 7 total appearances with Chicago Fire 2 have come this season. Debuted last year, only 1 game in Next Pro in 2025. Good news for Chicago. They've gotten to the double-digit shots mark, but Bolts was offside. This portion of the broadcast is sponsored by Gallagher. We talked about we talked a little earlier about more or less the collective success that Chicago have had. Even if Atlanta surpassed Chicago because they were 2 points apart, Chicago wouldn't be out of it. That just bumps Orlando out and would shift Chicago into the 8. Here come Atlanta. Ahead for Suarez. Nemo the aggressor. But then you have a whole lot of positives going in Chicago's direction, whether it's being top 3 in the Eastern Conference of Major League Soccer or making the Leagues Cup quarterfinals, where they'll go into the knockouts of that tournament in about a week's time. Can't really say the same for Atlanta. What a lane this is. If Diawara can keep it, he cannot. Atlanta is kind of in this weird middle ground where their next pro team has had some relative success over the last couple of years. Atlanta United's first team, not so much. Especially what could come from CF Montreal after signing Alexis Sanchez, jumping Atlanta for the wooden spoon of the Eastern Conference. Back for Chicago. Williams gets out, bolts. Back up top, Borso. Borso can't escape, he lets it go, and someone's gonna take a hike.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please. Substitutions for Atlanta United 2 in the 78th minute. Entering the game.
So 2 changes occurring in the midfield for Atlanta United.
Number 81, Didi Cyprian. Entering the game.
Didi Cyprian and Andrew Jardines make their respective exits. Jardines does come out of the match with his 3rd assist of the season on the 2nd goal for Enzo Dovolo. This allows a couple of academy products to come in with just about a dozen minutes remaining in the match. Shea Fakiesi, happy belated birthday to him. He turned 16 yesterday. The former USA Youth International. And then Adedamola Brown. Today marks 5 matches for him.
For Chicago Fire 2 in the 79th minute. Entering the game, number 76, Elian Napo. Exiting the game, number 41, Gideone Diawara.
So an offensive change also for Chicago with Napo in for Diawara. Can that maybe spark something for Fire 2? So changes made on both sides in the same window. Elevated across. Borso chops it down. Still Borso. Works on Fakiesi. That got jarred free from Suarez. And a man down to ground. This will draw the first yellow card of the match in the final 10 minutes. Ignacio Suarez in the book. The only yellow card to date to this point, 80 minutes in. And no arguments about that one. You have a very clear jersey tug. Could A lifeline be put in on a set piece. Off of the back of Bernhardt. No one can find it except for Kovac. His pass is blocked. Suarez follows up. Dunbar leads the way. 4-on-3 outside. Kovac holds up. And some nice defense made by Nagel to get it free. But given right back to Atlanta United. This portion of the broadcast is sponsored by Adidas. Dunbar, top of the box for Kovac. Couldn't get loose. Sananu in a foot race. Brody Williams controls. Williams grapples. They didn't give him a penalty or a free kick, but it will get a corner. I suppose for a play like that, there's a bit of a consolation prize. At least Chicago get a corner out of it. Swooped in, deflected, up and out. It did glance off of someone, and this will be back-to-back corners for Atlanta. Or for Chicago in Atlanta's end, pardon. We go again. Bolts above the bar. Only 5 games remain on the docket after this match concludes in about 8 minutes' time. Atlanta, 2 more home games. And if they take care of business this weekend against Orlando City B, they might be in prime position to make the postseason. This result drops Orlando into the 9, and that could increase Atlanta's buffer above the line. Threading it through, Majub cuts it off, Kovac in front again. For Chicago, they get to go back to SeatGeek Stadium to play the already eliminated Inter Miami 2. Elevates, out the other end. Williams regains. Bit of a tough break for Inter Miami 2, by the way. You're talking about the bottom team in the Eastern Conference. First team to be eliminated. And then you get to play 3 consecutive teams, all more or less fighting for their playoff lives. Playing against third place New England. The soon-to-be 8th place Chicago, assuming nothing changes. And the soon-to-be 7th place Atlanta, assuming nothing changes. Although it sounds redundant, that clarification does need to be made. We have seen late game heroics come in this league before, so we can't count anyone out. But assuming all holds, what a slate of matches for both of these teams going down the stretch. Brody Williams, step over, follow up. Napo. Napo works on Majub. Back in the middle, smacked out of play, doesn't matter. Chicago offside. So let's go through it, shall we? After this match, Orlando will be bumped out to the 9. They will come here on the weekend before Atlanta head down to South Florida to play against Inter Miami, who are playing for pride at this point. They have half of the other eliminated team in points total, which would be Cincinnati. And then you have a real gauntlet in the final 3 for Atlanta. CTU, who are trying to stay alive right now, only 2 points above the line as we speak. Chattanooga, who are chasing Crown Legacy for the #1 overall seed. At Findlay, which is even more of an uphill climb, before they wrap up the season in Kissimmee, where both Atlanta and Orlando are likely playing for the respective playoff lives by decision day. You could argue for Chicago an even more daunting task in their final 5 matches. They also get a home match versus Miami before they go to Columbus and to Crown Legacy. 2 teams in top 4 slots. Napo back in the middle, deflected out. Great defense by Sinanu, but this gives Chicago their 4th corner. Chicago need something here to keep themselves within it. They'll have 3 opponents in the current top 4 of the Eastern Conference in their final 5 matches. Swooped outside, headed to goal, deflected, still loose. Williams in front, Fleming, he missed. Fleming had a chance to keep the spark alive for Chicago. A great header back into the mix. Nagel was in there, Williams slides it back, and Fleming tried to go outside of the boot to get the spin around Suarez, just couldn't get there. Chicago's final 2 matches, by the way, they host Philly, who at the moment are 3 points behind Chicago, before wrapping up the season hosting Chattanooga, who are currently a game and a half back on the #1 seed Crown Legacy. So a lot of desperate playoff points in the Eastern Conference that these two will have to meet in the near future. Williams gets around and right in the hands. Great snag from Ransom. Two different home fields this year for Atlanta that they've regularly called home, between Turner Soccer Complex in Athens and here at the Atlanta United Training Ground, equally dominant in both. If they hang tight, they can increase their 6-2-3 record on home soil. For Chicago, struggled on the road, maybe a chance for Napo. He twirls out, couldn't reach Bolts. Follow up for Borso on the volley. Went over, but did it take a nick on the way out? It did. That's the 5th corner of the match for Chicago, all of which were in the second half. Only 3 in total for Atlanta. Last gasp for the Fire before they get snuffed out this afternoon. Inside, deflected, wide. You could hear the moans and groans of Chicago as your guys like Nagel and Sandmeyer inside the 6. extra 4 on the board. Arif Kovac in the 33rd. Enzo Dovolo in the 39th. 2 assists for Dunbar. Jardines also had a helper on the second goal to Dovolo. Borso wanted to glide it through, but couldn't beat out the defense. And this is a free lane for Enzo Dovolo. Hits the brakes. Back across. Still Dovolo. Back for Kovac. Held off by Nemo. Before that's mopped to the side. Smacked out of play by the Five Stripes. Santa Cross alone. Williams gets one back. No shutout for Chicago. Brody Williams got it behind Ransom for his first goal in MLS Next Pro, and probably at no better time, as the spark is still alive for the Fire. No one was guarding Williams. They left him on an island. Just got past the defense, had it slip behind. 2 minutes of 4 in stoppage. And in terms of offensive production, Chicago have caught up. Atlanta has allowed them to. 14 shots in the first half for Atlanta. Oh, and now we got some shoving back and forth. Dovolo was in the mix. A red card's in the hand. Did you have Nig in the mix? That's where the red card goes. One each way, it looks like. A little bit of jawing turned into shoving. We'll have to see what happened here. There was just a little bit of back and forth. You had Dovolo seemingly getting mouthy with Nig. And Nig was actually the one trying to intervene. That was between Pineda and Dovolo. They sent off the wrong guy, that's for sure. Nig was trying to get in the middle and break him up, but either way, we played the last 45 seconds 10 on 10. Don't really think it changes much in the grand scheme of things, but you do have the aspect of suspension in the next game for your primary starting left back in Damian Nig and a guy in Enzo Dovolo who has scored in 3 of the last 4 matches. Deflected in, still bouncing around, cleared out by Atlanta. Back in for Nagel. We're through 4. Final push for Chicago. Too high for Bolts. Only as far as Borso. Top of the area. Atlanta work together to get to Dunbar. He launches it down. Possibly some extra stoppage time because of the confrontation. Bolts outside, back in. Settled down by Borso. Dunbar clears again. Nagel, the last man back. Got one of the 2 assists on the Williams goal that gets this game within 1. Pineda slowed things down. Chicago need to pick it up if they want to at least salvage a point. Across from Borso. Kept in by Napo. Some cramping on the field for Atlanta, but they still have to play on defensively. That skirts out of play. Last off of Chicago, and that is it. A heated battle where Atlanta come out on top. 2-1 the final, as our man of the match is presented by Adidas. 2 goal contributions, and he has put himself alone in the golden playmaker race. Cameron Dunbar got it back for the first goal towards Arif Kovac, got the secondary assist on the goal that pretty much seals the deal. The now game-winning goal from Enzo Dovolo. 2 goal contributions for Dunbar settles this game. And this one is done after 90 plus. No PKs needed. You can watch MLS Next Pro all season long at MLSNextPro.com and OneFootball. For our entire MLS Next Pro broadcast crew, I'm Ryan Lee. Thank you so much for joining us. Atlanta survive and get above the playoff line. They win 2-1. Thank you for joining us. Have a great rest of your day.
This copyrighted broadcast of Major League Soccer may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of Major League Soccer.